Hello, faithful, and welcome to another edition of White Throne Metal Radio's Top 10 Songs. I am your host, Keven Crothers, station manager for White Throne Metal Radio and staff writer for Heaven's Metal magazine, as well as the occasional host of the Throne Room podcast. I know we need to get another podcast out there. I haven't done one now in 2 months probably, so do that as well. Hey, I'm really glad you decided to hang out with me for the next, hopefully not half an hour. I try to make this one a little shorter. The Jerusalem video, I will say this. The response I got to that video exceeded my wildest expectations. This is one of those things where I'm just doing this because I enjoy it. Obviously, I'm not making any money or anything like that off of it. It's just really, let's talk about those bands that many of us, that we grew up with, we enjoyed, loved, listened to everything they ever did, and frankly at this point don't get a lot of love, do they? In Christian music, for the most part, a lot of these bands are forgotten. You can't find their stuff at the quote-unquote Christian bookstore, let alone a music shop. So occasionally you find something in a bargain bin if you're lucky. So I've been so excited about so many of you who have just shared with me. You know, you ask questions. I've so tried to respond to everybody. Sometimes it does get to be a little much. But I appreciate it. And if you're like me, I hope, and I'm glad you enjoy this. If I have the ability, I would love to get some better technology as far as camera, for video, audio, just to make it a more professional presentation. Because frankly, this is how, to me, if I tune into something like this, I want to talk to somebody who hopefully knows what they're talking about. Hopefully I know what I'm talking about. I don't mind admitting if I've made a mistake or if I'm wrong. But I want something that catches me, pulls me in. I just hope these videos for you do that. Again, none of these things are designed to be a judgment or criticism of anybody's ministry or musical output. This is not a scholarly review or something like that. These are my 10 favorites. And I've got things in my mind I'd like to do in the future. And having said all that, today I want to talk about top 10 songs from Christian hard rock metal band Whitecross. Whitecross, formed in 1985. First record came out in 87. Last record was mid to about probably the later part of the 1990s. For the most part, Rex Carroll and Scott Wenzel were the driving forces in Whitecross. Rex left the band after their 1992 album. I think it was 92. I'm going to take a quick peek here. Should have had that down on my little thing. We're just going to go with 92. Their release, High Gear. After that, Scott continued the band. They put out 3 more actual studio albums. Those albums, in my opinion, probably should have been labeled a different band name, not Whitecross. My opinion. Why? The style changed so drastically. There were a few moments here and there, but the style changed so drastically that if you put on the 1987 album and then put on 1994's, 1995's Unveiled, they sound very different, except for the vocal. And for the sake of this, my focus has really been on those albums where Rex and Scott made music together. The other members of the band, the bass and the drums, they would change periodically. Again, this is really the songs. I'm not going to get too much into all the other band changes and that type of thing. But like I normally do, let me show you what we got. Of course, the debut album, 1987's self-titled Whitecross on Pure Metal Records, produced by Caesar Kalinowski and Rex Carroll. To be honest, I'm not sure how I ended up with two of these, except you're going to say, that's a punch-out. Well, back in the day, when we got these in, this was a demo. So if you remember way back when, back in the Stone Ages, in Christian bookstores, you got a chance, because we didn't have Christian radio, let alone hard rock or metal. Frankly, in the San Francisco Bay Area, we had Starsong Music Radio, which I was grateful for. It was on from 9 p.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. And that was it. If you wanted to listen to Christian music, not hard rock necessarily, but Christian music, that's what you got. Obviously on the Pure Metal label. And then this one here had all the lyrics, not to mention the photos and kind of fun stuff. I had heard, and I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but this album was recorded in somebody's studio, which was kind of like somebody's garage. Home studio, we'll say. And, you know, when this came out, it really did take Christian music by storm. I don't think anybody really knew what to expect. I remember when it came out and I heard Scott's voice, it was, gosh, this is Rat. Sounds like Rat. And Scott had always come out after that and said, I've never even heard Rat. Okay, no problem. You know, his main influence was Glenn Kaiser. Awesome. 1987, I also have a CD of that, which I think, unfortunately, after I got it, I think it was a bootleg. Sorry to say. You know, I was really hoping the original Whitecross CDs are very hard to find. Follow-up 1988 with Hammer and Nail. Better production. Just it sounds that much better. Followed up after that with 1989's Triumphant Return. Different rhythm section, different bass and drums on this album. A more metallic sheen. Again, more higher gloss production, as it were. And then after that, I came to find out I did not have a CD of Triumphant Return. Excuse me, of In the Kingdom. In His Kingdom? Oh goodness. That fourth album, which really pushed them over the top. But I do have a cassette of High Gear. I did reach out to a few friends to actually get so I could go back and revisit In the Kingdom. Back in the day, I remember having heard it, enjoyed it, but I come to realize I did not have a CD of it or vinyl to show you. I do have some download files, so I had to revisit that. After High Gear, Rex left the band. I believe the contract with Starsong, Pure Metal, EMI, however it ran out, I don't believe it was renewed. And with that, Scott went and kind of kept the band going. And they released in 1994 on REX, Unveiled. There are two more albums. I believe Flytrap is one, and the third one eludes my name. Sorry, it kind of evaporates at the moment. These sound like a very different band. And I know why you keep the name Whitecross. It's a brand. People are familiar with it. But those records, for me, they're just not the same. So so I don't forget, should also mention the 1987 re-recorded album that Rex Carroll did with Scott Wenzel in, what was this, 2005. Came out on Girder Retroactive. They re-recorded that whole first record, minus the ballad. They did re-include, and yes, no, I didn't forget Love on the Line, There was the 698 or 598 vinyl EP that was released. Love on the Line. It was a 12-inch single with 4 songs. It had Love on the Line, a song called I Believe, which Rex Carroll sang. And then they put out Enough's Enough, and I think No Way I'm Going Down on that. And then the track order was repeated. So it would have been nice if Pure Metal had pushed that a little more, or included, some of that stuff. I realize that I Believe, the Rex Carroll song, was added as a bonus track on the Japanese CD version of In the Kingdom. So let's talk about those top 10 songs, shall we? And I got to tell you that this was a tough list to put together. It really was. Why? Because when I went back through and re-listened to a whole bunch of these songs again and these records, there's a lot of great stuff there. The first 3 records had a lot of fantastic stuff. In the Kingdom, in my opinion, has 3 all-time classics, and one of those didn't make the list. And then I can feel the production as far as record company influence, producer influence. And then again on High Gear, same thing. There were some good songs on there, and then record company influence, and it's there. Just the sound was changing. Of course, music was changing too in that whole time frame. So let's talk about this. Coming in at number 10. Now, number 10 for me, I had a track on here that when I finally got all the way through it, I had to bump it off, and it's an honorable mention. But coming in at number 10 is off the debut album, and that's Looking for a Reason. Still a great song. It was on the demo that I had with White Throne magazine. We did a cover story on Whitecross back in the day. We put Rex on the cover there, and we had a 3-song demo. Basically, it had He Is the Rock, Looking for a Reason, and Nagasaki. And it was like, wow, who is this? And Looking for a Reason has always been a favorite song of mine. So that comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, the title song off that 598 EP, Love on the Line. A bluesy, slow kind of dirge track. Lots of Rex Carroll guitar playing, just burning up the fretboard. Rex had an influence from, everything from Robin Trower to Randy Rhoads, and a huge swath of blues and rock players, Eddie Van Halen, obviously, I think, too, to a certain degree, but everybody in between, and that song in particular, just great tune. A great song, Love on the Line, comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8, off of In the Kingdom. That would be the second track, and this was another song. I had another song here, and I pulled it. And that song is going to be We Know What's Right. What a stellar riff. It's got some solid instrumental interplay towards the middle track portion of that song. Fantastic melody, driving rhythm. We Know What's Right. It's one of those songs. It's an anthem. It was on that Metal Mission. They did there was a VHS tape, that Star Song Pure Metal put out. It had Novella and Bride and Whitecross and Exalt on there. And there was a tour that they did. They did this recording, live stuff, and We Know What's Right comes in for me at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is off the Triumphant Return album. And I got to tell you, going back through Triumphant Return was kind of tough because, again, there were a lot of there's some hidden gems on that record, and a few of them only could get a couple. And that song is straight through the heart. What a brilliant riff that opens it up. I mean, it's this power chord with a descending melody pattern, and it just, it sounds very different. Most Whitecross tunes that I really dig are really straightforward in what they do, and that one, it wasn't. It had this great hook, and I just totally dug it. Totally dug it. So coming in at number 7 is Straight Through the Heart. Coming in at number 6 is coming in at number 6 is off of the Hammer and Nail album. And with we'll say the riff is somewhat inspired by, to me it always kind of reminded me of Joe Satriani's Satch Boogie a little bit, and that's Because of Jesus. Another solid, kind of bluesy, upbeat, happy, fast praise song that just rocks. Very infectious, and it'll have you singing the chorus, obviously, before you get to the end of the song. It's another anthem. And that was one thing that Whitecross did a lot of. They wrote a lot of really solid anthemic type music. Because of Jesus comes in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, also off of the Hammer and Nail record, is When the Walls Tumble Down. Now, when I went back through and I listened to that record, I really thought, another song was going to take this spot. And when I played everything back through and I heard, I went, how did they do the chorus? I haven't listened to that song in a long time, and I played it and I was just reminded. A brilliant chorus. Again, solid, just fabulous guitar work from Rex Carroll. Just a great song. When the Walls Tumble Down comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is also off the debut. And the first single, really, Enough's Enough, right? How many compilations would put that song? Christian radio was all over that. It has another one of these. It's kind of an off staccato type rhythm, guitar-wise, with the interplay with the drums, a great melody and chorus, great lyrics, time to stand up, walk the walk. If we're going to say that we're going to love people, let's love them. If we're saying we're going to stand against certain forms of sin in our own life, let's do that, right? Enough's Enough comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, off of Triumphant Return. Great, upbeat. It was an album opener. I saw them when they played on this tour. I've seen Whitecross 3 times. Saw them right when Hammer and Nail came out. They played at a small church in Hayward, California. That was a rather interesting gig. That's a story perhaps for another time. Saw them again in, at De Anza College in the San Francisco Bay Area at a theater. Poorly promoted, and it was for the Triumphant Return record, and right before that album was coming out, and they were playing stuff, and then I saw them at Cornerstone in 1990 on the main stage. I believe it was 1990 on the main stage, and they played this song, and unfortunately they had some technical issues. Still a great tune, love it, which is Attention Please. That's my number 3. It's fast. It's a great, it's a scorcher. It's a barn burner, of a song. I hate the term hair metal. I just do. It was coined. It was derogatory. But in 1989, this was it. Just a brilliant tune. Your Attention Please comes in at number 3. Now coming in at the top 2 songs, and it was tough. I kind of knew what my number 1 song was going to be, and that's because I think it's always been my favorite Whitecross song. So was like, well, what am I going to do for number 2? There were a couple of songs that were vying for this position. And honestly, there's so little, I should say, that separates so many of these songs. And for many of you, you're probably going, but you missed this and you missed that. I know. Again, these are my favorites. So coming in at number 2 is off In the Kingdom, which is Love is Our Weapon. What a brilliant song. What else to be said? Mid-tempo, driving, fabulous hook, great production, solid, over-the-top guitar playing, great pre-chorus. Just, it's one of these songs that's like, you hear it, you're up, you're clapping, you're pumping your fist, whatever you're doing. Love is our weapon. We should use it, right? Fantastic. A true classic, if there ever was one. And I really, to me, this was a song that when I went back through the catalog, I'd kind of forgotten about. And so you might be going, well, how was that your number 2? Because once I heard it, I was like, that's right. That song was so good. Love is Our Weapon comes in at number 2, which leads me to my number 1. And even though this song has a riff that is similar, very similar sounding to a band from Japan. And if you know what I'm talking about, I've already played my hand right there. It's off the debut, and another song that to me is... I've made countless CDs where it was supposed to be like a worship praise CD, and that always gives you kind of the wrong connotation. I just wanted songs with a positive message that I would sing and be able to just feel like I'm praising God. And I'm talking about He is the Rock. And to me, it always reminds me of Crazy Nights by Loudness. And He is the Rock, right? It was on that initial demo we heard way back when. It's a fantastic song. It's my number 1, my favorite Whitecross song off the debut. So how about some honorable mentions, huh? A lot of you are probably going, but. So honorable mentions. Who Will You Follow? No Way I'm Going Down. Signs of the End. Seeing is Believing, all off the debut. Off of, Hammer and Nail, Living on the Edge, right? Take It to the Limit. Top of the World, I always dug. And it's just good stuff there. And of course, I haven't even mentioned, Rex has the guitar burn on every record. Nagasaki, Hammer and Nail, off of Triumphant Return. Of course, Red Light. Then, the song Flashpoint, which is the guitar burn here. I always loved Heaven's Calling Tonight. And it just got edged out of my top 10. I was like, man, how do I not have this in there? But it was like, how do I get some of these other songs? So, and Down, loved Down. Good song as well. And then off of High Gear, the title track, always good song. There's some great songs on High Gear, but sometimes to me that record just kind of felt like it was a little more mailed in. Off of In the Kingdom, I was never a big fan of the song In the Kingdom, but the title track, the opening track, No Second Chances, what a great song. Off of High Gear, Long Road to Walk, I Shout, some really good stuff. But there you have it. White Throne Metal Radio's top 10 songs for Whitecross. Give me your top 10 songs in the comments below. If there's something, if you want to incorporate stuff off of the 3 albums after Rex left, that's great. Remember, there's no right or wrong answers here. This is just a celebration. Let's talk about these bands that we enjoy, the music that they made that has inspired us, and that we love. Sorry this video again went a little long. I get a little long-winded. I do appreciate all your comments. Again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends. And with this, I'm going to tell you, don't forget to love your neighbor as yourself, say your prayers, and God bless.